Our top story at this hour is coming in from Iran, where protests in the country have taken a new turn. It is no longer just about Tehran. As citizens continue to hit the streets, fifth day in a row, their anger reverberated in the bastion of Iran's supreme leader. Demonstrations have broken out in Qom, which is considered to be one of the holiest cities in Iran. Prior to 1979, the opposition to former King Mohammad Reza Pahlavi was led by this very city. Ayatollah Khamenei also studied in Qom and became a prominent cleric there. Until now, protests have spread to 32 cities, including Tehran, Isfahan, Shiraz, Karaj and Fasa, across more than 17 provinces of Iran. At least 7 people have been killed in the clashes between the protesters and security forces. Nearly 33 people have been injured as well, whereas 119 protesters have been arrested. As Iran's internal turmoil continues, American President Donald Trump has fired a fresh salvo. He has signaled that the United States is ready to mount an offensive on Iran. Trump has assured Iranian citizens that his country's forces will come to their rescue if peaceful protesters are killed. Now remember, these protests have seen intense sloganeering as well. Khamenei's legitimacy has directly been challenged. A video has gone viral, which shows a group of residents in Hamadan city chanting, "Death to the dictator." Protesters have also called for the return of the former king's son, Reza Pahlavi, who is in exile. Another video has emerged from Hamadan, in which protesters' anger is on full display. They are seen beating a security personnel. The Iranian government, meanwhile, has tried to mollify the protesters. It initially called for dialogue and replaced the central bank governor. However, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has predictably claimed a foreign hand in these protests. In a recent speech, he asserted that Iran is engaged in a full-scale war. He also blamed enemies of Iran for seeking internal chaos through economic pressure.
We are engaged in a full-scale war. Right now, the enemy has placed most of its hopes on knocking us down through economic pressure. You cannot conquer a nation with bombs, fighter jets, or missiles. To defeat us, they would have to come and face us on the ground.
Remember, Iran's protests come in the wake of currency collapse. Now, $1 US is equivalent to 1.42 million Iranian riyal. The inflation rate in December soared to 42.2%. In comparison to a year ago, food prices have risen by 72%, and medical items are up by 50%. With no let-up in the spate of protests, the question remains whether the Iranian government can salvage this situation. Let's try and get an understanding of what the situation is in Iran. I'm joined by Mr. Fouad Izadi. He's Associate Professor, Faculty of World Studies at the University of Tehran. Mr. Izadi, thank you for joining us and sparing the time to talk with us on WION. I want to start by asking you how you look at this. These are protests that started as an economic concern for the shopkeepers. Now, of course, they've reached one of the strongholds of the supreme leader. Clearly, this is more than just economic concern. There seems to be a lot of pent-up frustration that even the university students are now joining these protests.
Yes, I think this is what the Iranian government is trying to do. Separate people who have economic concerns. As you know, Iran has been under an economic warfare by the United States. And this is affecting ordinary citizens. So separating these people, people with genuine economic problems, with organized opposition that is on the payroll of the United States and Israel is one of the objectives of the Iranian government. As you reported correctly, the slogans that you hear at these riots support the former Shah of Iran. And there, in Tehran, we have about 10 million people, residents. About 200 people showed up. So as you see in your pictures, you have maybe 100 people, 200 people, not a very huge crowd that are present at these protests, riots, in comparison to millions that are concerned about United States deciding to make Iran another Libya. You remember what happened in Libya during Arab Spring. There were some demonstrations. The United States made sure that these demonstrations were violent by supplying the people with weapons. And then they attacked Libya, and Libya is not in a good shape. And Iranians realize this. So overwhelming majority of people realize Trump is not interested in human rights. Netanyahu is not interested in human rights. They just finished engaging in a genocide in Gaza, killing over 70,000 people. So overall, I think when you look at this situation closely, you realize that this will pass the same way other attempts by the United States to destabilize Iran has passed.
Mr. Azadi, while I understand when you say that this might also these protests might have Western influence on them, the fact of the matter is that the Iranian economy is not doing very well amid the sanctions. There has been frustration among traders as well as far as the rial falling against the USD is concerned. And there are other issues as well. As far as the Pezeshkian government is concerned, how do you think they can actually quell these protests and, fulfill some of the demands that these protesters are wanting from the government?
This is going to be very difficult. If it was easy, they would have done it already. Being in an economic war, a military war with the United States is not an easy task. But remember, say, for example, in India, there are some people who have economic problems. But do they want China to attack India because they have economic problems? No. In fact, last time United States attacked Iran, there was this rally around the flag effect. People engaged in nationalism, nationalist slogans against the foreign enemy. And the Iranian government has actually used these type of foreign interventions to remind people that although there are economic pressures, the alternative is Netanyahu creating a puppet government in Iran. And that is not good. And as you see in your pictures, the people who are getting beaten are security forces. We have had one death so far, and that person that was killed he was a security personnel. So overall, what the Iranian government is trying to do is to make sure that the majority of people don't fall for this Trump scheme of regime change. That's the immediate goal of the Iranian government. And the medium goal, long-term goal is to make sure that some of these economic problems are reduced so the country can go forward.
Okay. Mr. Zadi, do you also think, what do you think of how the Iranian government is handling these protests? Because we've seen there has been, no strict social media ban or other kind of restrictions that have been put in place. Would you say that this time around the government has been a bit more lenient, more understanding towards the protesters? Because President Pezeshkian has also said that he's ready to talk with these protesters and he's open to discussions.
Yes, I teach at University of Tehran. I live in Tehran. For the last 2 nights, Tehran has been quiet. The 200 people that showed up a few days ago, they haven't come back. So there is no need for any extra normal measures because these are not serious problems. These type of protests happen in different countries. People are suffering economically, not just Iran, all over the world. And so the government doesn't feel that anything is threatened. They're going to make sure that if the US wants to use these riots to attack Iran, the US will pay a heavy price. I think that's a decision that the Iranian government has made. And, the Pezeshkian government is a reformist government. So in terms of the rhetoric, they're more lenient towards sort of managing these situations verbally. And this is what they have done. But overall, as you see, and we have been talking for about 7-8 minutes. There are these videos that you have been showing, maybe 100, 200 people showing up. Not anything serious to be concerned about. It could be used by Trump to attack Iran, but I think he would make a big mistake.
But Mr. Izadi, forgive me for intervening. Just a quick question. Why do you say that these are not very serious protests? Because there are deaths that have happened in the city.
Yes. One, security force. You saw people beating security forces. These are generally hooligans, not very people who, for whatever reason, have grievances. These are not normal citizens concerned about an issue, because overwhelming majority of Iranians realize that although they have economic problems, they don't want their country to be attacked by Trump.
Okay. All right, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Mr. Izadi, for joining us on WION and helping us understand the ground situation. Let's wait and watch how the situation unfolds in your city and, of course, other parts of Iran as these days and weeks pass by. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Now remember, protests have erupted across Iran as citizens react to the worsening economic crisis. As we've been telling you, inflation has surged above 42%, while the national currency has lost nearly half its value against the US dollar over the past year. Prices for food and healthcare have skyrocketed, rising 72% and 50% year-on-year respectively. Shopkeepers and students have taken to the streets in major cities against the government and the political system itself. The unrest, remember, marks the largest wave of protests since 2022. In response, President Masoud Pezeshkian has reshuffled top economic officials. The government is pushing ahead with long-delayed currency reforms. This includes eliminating the subsidized exchange rate for essential goods, replacing it with direct payments to consumers. Authorities have combined these reforms with a security crackdown, deploying police and paramilitary forces to the affected areas. Officials acknowledge the economic roots of this unrest while warning against violence and hoarding. Iran's economic crisis has been fueled by years of sanctions, rising regional tensions, and a weakening rial. The government is also exploring alternative trade channels, including cryptocurrency, for high-value transactions. Analysts warn that while currency reforms may help in the short term, underlying structural challenges and political constraints could limit their effectiveness.